Hi, this is CK at CK Education, and today I want to talk about a topic that I've seen so many times and I've heard about so many times in my over 12 years of teaching high school students um, and being in the education business especially. And I've just seen this so many times, both firsthand and secondhand, and I've heard of stories and I've talked to many, many hundreds of students who can uh, confirm, I guess, in their own lives that this has happened. And I've talked to many parents who experience the consequences of doing this. And so, I think this is a very important topic, and it deals with the issue of motivation. Motivation is so important. Motivation is a thing that really drives somebody to succeed, drives someone to reach certain goals, drives someone to get to a certain stage in their life, to experience new things in life, to discover new things, to attain new goals. I mean, it's all about motivation. If you don't have motivation, if you're merely a puppet of your parents, if you're merely just going through the motions in school or in work or in your life, in your relationship, in your faith, it's nothing. I call it's just existing. It's not living. You're just existing. Okay. And so it's like a person on a raft in an ocean, just going nowhere. There's no motor. There's no positioning. There's no direction. There's just, where are you going? I don't know. Just floating around. Just floating around. Okay. So this is much like a person with no motivation. Unfortunately, very sadly, I've met many teenagers like this. I've met many adults like this. They almost feel like machines. They're just going and they're doing something. They're certainly doing something. It's very difficult to tell on the outside until people start becoming honest with you. But they're doing things, but they don't really have any real reason for doing it. There's no real purpose in doing it. There's no meaning there. They just, I don't know, just, why you're in this job, I don't know, just making money. I mean, you got to make money, right? I mean, it just, well, why are you in this relationship? I don't know. I don't want to be lonely. So it's better than being lonely, right? I mean, it's just, why are you doing your study? I don't know. My mom, my dad, they would kill me if I got a bad, GPA or grade point or, I mean, it's just all about just external. It's all about fear. It's about guilt. And I made another video on this, but so many people are motivated by fear and guilt, but that's not a very good motivating factor. And I've seen, just give you a case in point, um, when my kids were much younger, like 2, 3 years old, I go to the local public library when they were little, and kids are naturally very curious and they love to discover. They're excited about learning. This is human beings. People are like this. But somewhere along the line, people lose their motivation. They just lose it. So I go to the library, and they're picking out books that they want, and they're picking all kinds of books, and they're excited. I say, all right, cool, let's get those books. And like, oh, we don't have to pay for it. One time my son asked, like, we don't have to pay for it. No, this is a library. You don't have to pay for it. You just take it home, but we got to bring it back sometime. So we get all these books and we bring it home, and we read it, and they love books, and our house is filled with books, and they love reading books. Still love reading books, and now they're a little bit older. And but I remember, at the library, and I remember one time when kids similar to my kids, they were very young, and they picked out a bunch of books. And mommy, I heard this in another aisle. Mommy, these are the books I want to get, and I could overhear the mom saying, "That's it? Those are the only books you want to get?" And the kid's like, "Yeah, I love these books." And he said, "No. So let me pick you some books. Let me choose some books for you that are that it'd be better for you to read." So she goes, and I see this mom. She's picking out all these, the books. The books that the kids picked out all had pictures and anime, stuff like that. Now the books that the mom picked out, no pictures at all words, really thick, really big, a lot of words, a lot of pages. So she brings it to the kid and says, "These are the books you should read." And you could see the look on the kid's face, just no enthusiasm at all. Like, oh, okay, like, do I have to read these, mommy? And she's like, "Yeah, you got to read these books. This will make you smart. This will help you in school." And at that moment, when she forces the kid to take these books that he doesn't even want to read, that he's totally turned off on, And you got to read these books first. In fact, you got to read these books first before you read your books. And parents who do this kind of thing, and I'm just giving you this small example, but you can relate this to many different, it shows up in many different ways, right? But when parents do that, what happens is they kill the motivation, okay? This is what you got to understand, and I have to understand, and I think I understand this. That's why I'm making this video, I guess. But I think it's so important as parents that we understand that motivation is way bigger than you think. Motivation is way more important than you think. It is better for the kid not to read that big book that you so want him to read. And the kid is just reading picture books and books with a lot of pictures in them. And you're like, yeah, my kid always reads just those guys. He never wants to read this and never wants to read these big books. They will eventually, but just maybe not as soon as you want them to. But here's a question. If you force them to read the books they hate and they hate reading, is it worth having them read those books that you want them to read 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year earlier? What if you would have just waited a year, let them naturally get into those kinds of books, because they will, and then keep their motivation? You see, and it works the same thing in everything else. Whether you're forcing them to play a certain instrument or forcing them to do a certain thing, or, do a certain, an activity, or be friends with a certain person, or whatever the thing is that you are forcing them to do, always keep in mind that you run the risk of, yes, my kid might do this for me right now, but his motivation might be severely diminished. And if that happens, see, kids are naturally born with a lot of motivation, but it's hard to get that back if you're the one as a parent diminishing it. If you're the one that's sort of suppressing that, sort of making that disappear, it's hard to get that back. Those parents of you out there whose kids hate reading, how easy is it for you to get them motivated to read again? Leave a comment below. Tell me how easy that is. Is it easy? It's incredibly difficult. It's incredibly difficult, because I teach a lot of high school kids whose parents have done that, and now they're big high school kids. They hate to read. How are you going to get that back? How are you going to get that motivation back? It's tough. It is so tough. It's just like anything. Some things are very, very difficult to build, but very easy to destroy. Most things in life are like that. Now, with motivation, people are born curious and want to discover, and people are born with motivation. And we as parents have to be very careful not to kill that motivation, not to chop it down, because without a lot of passion and motivation, it's very difficult for your kids to get to the place where you want them to get. See, you are going against yourself when you're doing this, because you say, well, I want them to be more successful. I want them to be happier. I want them to be whatever. Okay, then you can't kill their motivation. And in doing that and enforcing certain things like that, they didn't even want to do, and they might eventually do anyway if you just sort of give them some time and some space, you're going against the very thing that you want to accomplish in them. So this is a self-refuting logic that you're thinking in your head. It's a self-defeating action against your kids. And so I would tell you, be very careful with that. Now, there are some things that you want to very strongly teach your kids. But these kinds of things are not ruining their motivation. Okay, like honesty, like sincerity, like responsibility, like character, like faith, and on and on. But even when I say faith, I cringe a little bit, because some parents will hook onto that and say, oh yeah, that's why I force my kids to go to Sunday school. I force my kids to go to church, or go to the mosque, or go to the temple, go to the synagogue. I force because that, no matter what, I force them to read, the religious book, the Bible, or the Quran, or whatever. I force them to do it every day. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about religion. I'm not talking about religious activity. Okay, and if you watch my other videos, you know exactly what I mean. I'm not talking about that, because that in itself, and I've seen so many cases where parents who do that, the kids grow up hating the very religion that the parents so carefully so strongly try to inflict And let me use that word inflict, because that's what the kid feels like. Inflict on me. I don't want that. I don't want anything to do with my parents' religion, because they were such bad examples, because they made it such a terrible experience. What I'm talking about is, and when I say faith, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about things like love and hope and peace and joy and forgiveness and grace, things like that. The real things, the real experiences of a faith in God, not the religious activity part. And so, in trying to force onto our kids the things that we think are important, when we push too hard, we push at the wrong times, in the wrong ways, we are actually killing the motivation that kids so need. We as human beings so need to live our lives with joy and to pursue the passions that we were born to pursue. So parents, be very careful with that. And I've had many chances to say this to many parents, but the sad thing was, I've said these things and I was just explaining to them why their kids are unmotivated after the fact. I hope that if you're the parent of a young child, that you'll get this before your kids lose their motivation, before you kill their motivation. I'm just telling you, don't kill it. Preserve it, because that's one of the most important things. Okay. So I'll end it here. This was a tough video to listen to for some of you. I understand that, and that's okay. But I hope that you were helped, and if you were, then wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for watching this video. There are over 130 videos on my channel, and I upload a new one every single day. So tomorrow there'll be more, another one. So I hope you watch many of them. It's not because I'm a really smart guy. I've just experienced a lot of things, observed a lot of things, and I learned a lot of things that were so important. And many of these things changed my life. And so I just wanted to share those things with you as well, and in the hopes that it will change your life and improve your life. So I hope it does. And thanks so much again for watching this video up to this point. And until my next video, I hope you stay well.